Guys, welcome to MyGuy review of Spider-Man Homecoming, the 2017 Spider-Man movie. Since this is now the sixth kind of major release, where we've had the Sam Raimi trilogy starring Tobey Maguire, we've had the Mark Webb two outings as the Amazing Spider-Man starring Garfield, and Tobey Maguire's films really set the scene for Spider-Man back in the day, and comic book movies for that matter, with the highest grossing kind of opening weekend of all time at that time, 100 million. Went on to gross over 800 million worldwide. Huge film. No one thought it would be that big, especially not Sony. And Sony been hanging on to this franchise since, because they rolled out number 2, which obviously, as most people think, it's one of the best comic book movies of all time, and not only sequels of all time, but comic book movies. Movie that suppressed its original in many ways. Dr. Octavius was amazing, and we had a really great film. And then they had Spider-Man 3 at the time. I think it was like the most expensive movie ever made, but it was just a mess, so much going on. But they introduced Venom, and we had the Sandman, and we had so much happening, and it cost a ridiculous amount of money, critically panned, but made the most any Spider-Man movie has ever made. And kind of there's been years where they're talking about Spider-Man 4 with Sam Raimi. All of that got cancelled. We've got another reboot, another origin story with Mark Webb in 2012, and again a new Spider-Man movie, which I thought was alright. Wasn't all that good, but Andrew Garfield's a great Spider-Man, but he's too good looking to be Spider-Man, man. He ain't a kid who's gonna get bullied in school. He's a handsome fella. Him and Emma Stone did a great job. Kind of their chemistry was great. And then he followed it up with Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014, which was it was a drag to watch. Too many subplots going on, too many villains, not enough time to kind of cook them. And again, that movie was super expensive. I think one of the best things about Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the kind of the clock sequence when which is straight out the comic book, and it looks amazing where he shoots the web as Glenn is falling down, and that looked incredible. But now we're back into 2017, and we have a new Spider-Man, Tom Holland. Tom Holland was introduced to us in Civil War when he came in as fresh, new, brand new Spider-Man, origin already done, ready to go. None of this kind of, and even Aunt May was, so Uncle Ben, R.I.P. All of that had already happened, and he was in, and he was hilarious. From the first moment he jumped into that, he was great. He was quipping, and he really kept up with the rest of the Avengers. He loved Cap as well. He had Tony, everyone, and it was amazing to see Tom Holland do all of that. And now he gets his own film, 2017, and he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but still distributed, still looked after by Sony. But the creative arm's gone to Marvel, so they've kind of produced and made the movie in that way. And of course, we've got a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's characters in here. So, spoiler alert, but we have Jon Favreau, Happy Hogan's in here. We've got, obviously, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Even Pepper Potts turns up. So, really kind of broadening his horizon. Now, the great thing about this film, it's very much self-contained, and it's great, because it's not like this big sky beam and this big CGI mess at the end where they have to fight everyone. It's Spider-Man. He's got a threat, and it's a street-level threat that Spider-Man can handle, and he really gets cracking onto it. Now, what we start off with is, up until now, the villains haven't been that good in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Loki being one of the most outstanding villains so far, and then I really like Baron Zemo, and the Guardians villain was good, and now we have Mr. Michael Keaton. He is playing Adrian Toomes, and he's got a salvaging company, and basically they're contracted to clean up the city, and they're about to pick up some Chitauri technology, and Tony Stark's team kind of turn up there, and they kind of take over his company, and they're trying to push him out, and so there's a bit of a friction between Adrian Toomes, aka Mark, and Tony Stark's company. And years later, obviously our good friend Peter Parker has been drafted into becoming an Avenger, but there's still kind of like he's still not a full Avenger. He's just kind of like he's auditioned to be an Avenger, should we say. Anyway, so the Chitauri technology and the advances, basically whatever's been salvaged, they kind of said, let's keep it, let's see what happens. And I love that, because we see bits of the Marvel Cinematic Universe still being kind of embedded into this new film, and we get to see kind of how Spider-Man gets involved, and keeping it self-contained where it's still a Spider-Man movie. It's really funny. It's really, really fresh. Michael Keaton's great in this. Donald Glover's in here, and he references his nephew, who, for everyone who's read the kind of comic book news, knows that Donald Glover's, the Prowler's nephew, is of course Miles Morales. So as soon as Sony have messed up Spider-Man and taken him back, Marvel have already kind of opened the door for Miles Morales themselves, which is great. And the good thing is he's going into high school. He's doing kind of like the normal day-to-day, being a nerd and kind of hanging out with his best mate, who even catches him, which is great. That's hilarious when he catches him being Spider-Man. It's so funny. Stark takes his suit away at one point, and he has to do with a makeshift suit. All this stuff is great. There's no origin here. It is literally, he's here, and let's go straight back into it. And of course, he doesn't get his suit back until the very end, spoiler alert, of the film, when Tony kind of like, okay, says, yeah, that's fine. But I love the kind of the action sequences. They're not out of New York. They're all there. They're where he would be. There's the elevator scene. There's the boat scene. Everything's in New York, and it's great because that's where you'd see Spider-Man. You wouldn't see Spider-Man kind of globe-trotting because he's still a kid. He still goes to high school. Tom Holland looks the part. He looks incredible. He's really, really funny. When Toomes and kind of Spider-Man confront each other, the battle is great as well. It's not a CGI mess. Well, you can tell there's a lot of CGI and there's a lot going on, but he's so it's still really, really great. Of course, him and Toomes confront, and the good thing about Peter Parker is at the end, he still saves Toomes' life, and he's still a kid at the end of the day. He's not a trained killer, so he saves Toomes. And this is the good thing about this kind of like this new Spider-Man, like he'll do those things, but he's still, and this is what was kind of seen in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, where him and Doc Octavius were having that kind of one-on-one, and he's seen who he is, and even to a lesser extent the Andrew Garfield one as well. But here it really plays right at the end where him and Toomes are about to kind of are engaging or fighting, and Parker still saves his life, and kind of leaving him to NYPD police, and he's going to go to jail and stuff. So there's a lot of great things that happen outside of him being the Spider-Man, and also he's got all the school stuff as well. So stuff like his mates every day to day. He's also got the homecoming dance. He's also got like I think it's I can't pronounce her name, Zendaya. Anyway, she's in it, and she's really good as well. She's had her own TV show. She's got a singing career, and all these people are kind of like putting them down, but hey, they were good. It's a really good, well self-contained movie, and it's great to see that Spider-Man's returned into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even if it's for short-lived. It's also good right at the end because Peter kind of convinces Stark to kind of go back and propose to Pepper Potts and kind of be with her, and it's good because all of that kind of works out for Tony Stark, even though we just had the Accords and so much just happened. Of course, Stark at the very end kind of offers him the chance to come back and become a full-time Avenger again. And of course, currently Parker's declined because he'll be back in Infinity Wars and it'll be all good. It's also good because when kind of Toomes is kind of talking to Jason Bryce, who we know as Shocker, and they're selling weapons to local gangster Aaron Davis, who's obviously going to be the Prowler. All of that's kind of really good world building. It's great to see them in for a little while. They're all being tracked and they're all kind of like being played out here. So a great movie. I mean, it's another reboot, but it's a really fun. It's maybe the funnest Spider-Man movie. Still, Spider-Man 2 being one of the best Spider-Man movies in the franchise. This movie is going to be opening somewhere between 80 to 100 million. So there's no Spider-Man fatigue yet, but it's great. Tom Holland's fresh. It kind of really revitalizes the franchise. So really excited. I'd love to see more of this stuff. Tom Holland's amazing. It's good to see an Avenger turn up as well, even if it's a small role. Robert Downey Jr., I think he shot everything in 3 days. Got paid $5 million a day. That's awesome, right? So yeah, it'd be great to see more. Love this film. I give it an 8 out of 10. Tell me what you think. Hit me up with your comments, your likes and stuff. And yeah, and I think it's the second best Spider-Man movie of all time.